It's indeed a great pleasure to be here for the third consecutive year. There are pluses and minuses to both sides. The great danger is that the speaker tends to speak the same thing what he spoke in the first 2 years. And on a lighter note, I would like to share a small incident with you. As soon as Prime Minister Modi was sworn in, within 15 days he visited Goa, and the then Chief Minister, Mr. Manohar Parrikar, had invited a crowd of about 150 to 200 people to listen to our Prime Minister, Mr. Narendra Modi. And I was one of the invitees in that room. When the Prime Minister spoke, I was quite shocked because each and every word of that speech I had heard on television in the earlier week. So that was not all. Then last year I attended a banking conference, and here I wouldn't name the banker. He's a very senior banker. He was invited to give the keynote address. So as he spoke, each and every word of his speech he had spoken on television about a week before. So sometimes you feel that, people say great things, but quite a lot of it gets repeated. So I'm absolving myself of standing here and talking to you today because I don't quite recollect what I had spoken to you during the last 2 years, during the last two occasions. One of the things Mr. Mohandas Pai asked me to do when I came into contact with him, and I really admire and respect him as a leader. And one of the speakers said earlier that we should have an idol in front of us. So in many ways, in more ways than one, he's an idol whom I follow. And I've said this before on this very platform. It's quite unimaginable that a person can hold a finance and an HR portfolio in a company. Because they say that finance people don't understand anything of HR. That's the premise. Incidentally, the last slide Brigadier Prabhu showed, I think is a HR head's dream. That slide should be followed in all the organizations by an HR head as to how a new joinee in the company can be welcomed in the company. So coming back to this thing which I was talking about, one of the things Mr. Mohandas Pai asked me to do was go and meet the could-be community. I did that. As promised, I came to Mangalore, and Mr. Pradeep Pai, Guru, and others welcomed me at the airport, and we drove straight to the village. So there was a long talk on the way, and I asked them what is expected from me. So they said, the villagers need guidance. They have a lot of ideas, but they don't know what to do with those ideas. So the first thing we did, and to my surprise, there was a nice community hall there. So I'm just trying to tell you what people amongst yourselves have done. There was quite a gathering of about 40 to 50 people to welcome us. And I thought the first good idea is to sort of conduct a census of how many people live in that village, how many are educated, in the sense those who have passed 10th standard, how many have passed 12th standard, how many have graduated. And we started doing that. And as we did that, we sat through and interviewed many interesting people. To your surprise and to my shock, there was one person who was employing 20 people for cashew business. So that was a real eye-opener. So I just wanted to set the tone. It's not that people from backward or excluded communities cannot do anything, even without having any particular encouragement, anything. Money is far away, as the earlier speaker said. It is extremely difficult to visualize all this, but I think people have taken it up, people have done extremely well, and people have succeeded in spite of all odds. The message I would like to give you today is manifold. During my journey in the corporate world, I've noticed one thing. There's a large amount of mediocrity happening in the corporate world. And as leaders, we should not be encouraging mediocrity. That's the first point on my agenda. Just because a person has been with the organization for 20 years, 25 years, he's shielded. He's very loyal, he's very person of high integrity. But today it takes much more than all this. And then we breed mediocrity within the organization. And then it goes right up to the top. Because there's no second rung capability, there's no second rung great leader. So you select one among available people, the entire organization becomes mediocre. So I've been fighting on this point within our organization also, that mediocrity should not be bred. We should encourage people, even if the man has joined yesterday or day before, let him bring forward his best ideas. So many of those ideas may seem wacky, as Shama said, but we need to listen to those ideas. We need to have out-of-the-box thinking. It's always easy for people to stand and criticize ideas. I would like to speak about leadership, which I always do, but on a different level altogether. See, when we talk about a team, I talk of transparency, energy, attitude, and motivation. That is what a team is made up of. Unless there's transparency in the team, unless energy is built up, unless there's positive attitude, and unless there's motivation, there cannot be a good team. And when you talk of a good team, a classy team, like the present Indian cricket team, you can see what the leader is doing, and that is real leadership, leading from the front. 4 double centuries in 4 consecutive series, which is a world record. It has never happened in the game earlier. I think something to be extremely proud about. People have forgotten the man who broke all world records, Sachin Tendulkar, in such a short time. So this is today's India. You want to see performers right there in the middle. You don't want to remember what people did 10 years back, 20 years ago. No longer. So when you talk about a team, the leadership cannot be far behind. And here I would like to say, the leader should be smart. And what do I mean by smart? He cannot be smart looking. I don't mean he should be smart looking. I don't mean he should be wearing smart clothes. Not at all. He should be a strategist. He should be a motivator. His own attitude should be 100%. He should be resourceful, and he should be extremely transparent. Where did this resourceful come from? And here I'm not talking about money at all. Leadership is very easy when business is growing at 25 to 30% per annum. Profits are growing by 30-40% per annum. The board is extremely happy. The CEO is getting bonuses. Everybody is getting double increments, promotions. Life is so cushy. But when business does not grow, your competition is sitting on your head. And when the growth is flat or negative, I think that is the time the leader's resourcefulness comes into play. That is the time the team looks up at you. And that is the time your passion will really help you. Because as Shama said, as Brigadier Prabhu said earlier, passion is, and I think Sonia also used the word again and again, passion is something which is going to see you throughout your life. There's no second choice on that. And what is passion? I simply define passion as persistence and perseverance. Again, top class attitude, surety. You cannot say that, I am passionate but I'm not sure of myself. Then there's no passion. So surety, sustainability. That passion cannot be there today and end tomorrow. Passion has to go on for a lifetime. As you have seen the earlier speakers, Integrity, the most important. You cannot teach one thing and practice another thing. I think you have to walk the talk. Opportunity. Opportunities will come to you. Many opportunities will come to you. But the same opportunity never knocks twice. So the opportunity you have in hand, make the most of it. And last but not the least, nobility. None of us were born in kingly houses, or neither of our parents or grandparents were monarchs. So what do I associate nobility with? And here I would like to tell you a story which I experienced firsthand. I was at Newark Airport about 3 years ago, and as is my habit, I was browsing through some books at a bookstall when one of my colleagues, I was traveling with a team, came running to me and said, "Sir, the flight is cancelled." So I said, "Oh God, what do we do now?" Because we were traveling from Newark to Florida, and the meeting next day was at 9 o'clock. So we rushed to the United Airways counter, and they said, "We'll put you on a flight going to the next airport in Florida," which means we had to drive down about 4.5 hours after reaching that particular airport. So when we finally got onto the aircraft, it was really the flight was about 3 to 4 hours delayed, and we had a very tough time. Next to me was a Spanish guy sitting, and I started small talk with him as we usually do. I said, "Where are you from? What do you do?" And we exchanged visiting cards, and I told him my background. Suddenly, one lady came and she said, "This seat is mine." She tells the person next to me. And then she goes and approaches the hostess and says, "Look, there's a gentleman sitting on my seat." So I thought now we are going to see a huge war, because people were frustrated, tired, totally, and in a hopeless condition. The air conditioning was not working, and we were just waiting for the flight to move finally. So the hostess comes and says to that person, "Mr. So-and-so, I'm extremely sorry. I thought the next word is going to be, you're going to be offloaded." When she said, "I'm extremely sorry," and to my great shock, she says, "I'm extremely sorry, but we have put you in the first class." I said, "Wow." She's apologizing for that, and I would have jumped at the opportunity. The man was laid back in his seat, he had pushed back. He said, "Oh, is that so?" And then the lady comes to him and expecting him to get up from there. So he looks at the lady and says, "Would you like to sit in the first class?" That was a shock to me. By no stretch of imagination, I would like to confess in front of this august audience, would I ever have done it after all the frustration I had undergone. You come across these people, this is nobility. Nobility is not being born in royal families. You can do something for others. This is the very foundation of why we are celebrating this day. Besides education, besides opportunity for starting your own industry, besides so many other things, I think this point you must never forget. To be a good citizen of the country, as Brigadier Prabhu said, and we should be all really standing upright. Another issue I would like to take up here is, when we become leaders, we stop soiling our hands and we expect our team to work all the time. What exactly does soiling your hands mean? You literally don't go and put your hands into mud. I don't mean that at all. But working very closely with your team members, connecting with your team day in and day out, knowing what are the challenges they face, what are the problems, what are the issues. See, you don't go so close to the team that you start owning the problems. I'm not saying that, but you be approachable. Anytime the team wants a hearing from you, you are there for the team. That's all. That's the firm belief they should have. And here again, I would like to tell you a small story involving myself. As all of you are aware, we had floods in Mumbai many years back. I think it was 2006. And the Methi river had come on the roads. And all our cars, got trapped in that flooding. So we had to walk home, leave the cars on the road. And next day when I morning when I woke up, with great difficulty I reached home at 1 o'clock, walking half the way. And when we all came down next day and saw, it was like a war-torn city. It was that bad. So one of our main warehouses was in a distant suburb of Mumbai called Bhiwandi. I'm sure many of you have heard the name. And stocks there had all submerged into water, and because one of the dams had been opened due to excessive pressure on the dam. That was the kind of flooding Mumbai experienced. So many people started criticizing the fact, it all began there in the meeting with the chairman, that in the first place, why did we have a go down in Bhiwandi? I said, look, you can't change what has happened. We had a warehouse in Bhiwandi, it has rained, it has flooded, the stocks have got spoiled. Now what is next? You can't go on and on complaining about something that has already happened. What is the action you are going to take? So there was no reply from anyone. So my car had already been submerged in water. So I took my driver and I took my wife's car and put 4 people along with me in the car, and we went to Bhiwandi, and literally we were carrying cases. So this is what I mean by being with your team, by soiling your hands. So these are the pointers I wanted to point out to you today, that this is what you need to do. Simply by talking about passion, we are not going to become passionate. We need to practice passion. Many people asked a question that, how do I start inculcating self-discipline? I think self-discipline you can inculcate. It has been seen in research, to inculcate any habit, it takes 21 days. And thereafter, it's like autopilot. So if you can practice waking up at 5:30 in the morning, which I do regularly, you just have to do it for 21 days. And after that, even before the alarm rings at 5:15, 5:20, I'm awake. As Shama said, you got to run in the morning. I'm out of the house by about 6 o'clock. 6 to 7, I give myself time. Thereafter, it is emails, SMSs, WhatsApp messages, and whatever. So this is what I wanted to share with you today, and thank you very much. I would like to congratulate some of you whom I met yesterday night and today morning. Really proud feeling that many of you got excellent placements. Those who have done MTech, BTech, MBA, so many students I met. So heartiest congratulations to you, your teachers and your parents. And thank you very much for giving me a very patient hearing. In case any of you have any questions.
Thank you, sir. Your words were motivational and truly inspiring. If anyone has any questions, they can ask.
People have heard me for 3 times, so possibly there may not be any questions.
Hello, sir. I am Venkatesh Prabhu. I am here.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Hello, sir. I am Venkatesh Prabhu, a member of VKSSF Alumni Association.
Yeah.
You are right here with us from past 3 years at Prerna, every single Prerna. We are forever grateful for that. On that note, what is the one thing or many things that bring you back here every single time? I wanted to know that.
I love to interact with youngsters, because once upon a time I used to sit in the audience in various institutions, colleges, schools that I attended. I attended SIS College in Sion, which in those times was the second best college in Mumbai after Jai Hind. And we had a program called Brains Trust, where we would invite eminent people from politics, business, to come and interact with us like this. So it was my dream that one day I would be on the other side.
Thank you.
Thank you, Venkatesh. Anyone has any questions?
Hello, sir. I would like to take this pleasure of asking you a question on behalf of VA. Over the past few years, we have made many efforts for the less privileged Konkani speaking communities. And since you have got a chance to interact closely with them, what are your suggestions to us? How could we facilitate their development in a better way? What do you think we can do?
Yeah, very good question. I think the whole plan has to be sustainable. I came here in July or August, but Mr. Mohandas Pai had told me, just coming here once is not going to help. So I will try and come at least twice in a year, and we'll work out a program by which, we can make the whole thing sustainable. We need to get a lot of data still from them. We need to plot the data, analyze the data. We need to take decisions based on those analytics, and I'm sure we can take the community much higher than where we are today. But we'll have to put in all efforts. We'll have to build a team from amongst ourselves, which will take accountability and responsibility in a very big way to do all these tasks. So I think I would be available for further guidance. Thank you.